Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Less Stress, More Peace and Happiness Summit. I am so happy that you have decided to join us and invest in learning. We have so many great speakers sharing different topics, different strategies. And we all know that in today's times, everybody has stress and anxiety. And so I know that we're bringing great value. I hope you're tuning in. We've got just another great gal today I can't wait to introduce you to. Her name is Melody Robin. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about her and then we'll bring her on. So Melody Robin is an emotion code practitioner and empowerment coach. Melody's journey towards finding freedom from trapped emotions, limiting beliefs, religious dogma, and the opinions of others has ignited in her a profound passion to help others do the same. With her expertise in the transformative emotion code technique, Melody assists individuals in releasing emotional baggage and embracing healing and authenticity. But Melody's work doesn't stop there. She fearlessly challenges limiting beliefs and empowers individuals to reshape their belief systems, opening up a world of infinite possibilities. Moreover, Melody understands the impact of religious dogma and societal expectations on personal growth and expression, advocating for living a life aligned with one's values and beliefs. So please welcome with me, Melody Robin. Hi, Melody. How are you this morning?
Hi, I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing your topic. I love it. We've had so many different topics. I've really had so much fun putting this together because I never even realized how many different ways there were to deal with stress and anxiety and just creating a better way. And everybody's brought something different to the table. It's been so wonderful.
Thank you for sharing that gift. The vision really is beautiful and very necessary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you. I'm going to actually I'm going to give you front and center here and get me in the background. We're going to put your title up and let you have the stage. I was wondering, we always start with everybody telling their personal story. So if you don't mind, we'd just like to know a little bit about your background and what brought you to this work and this space that you're in now.
Absolutely. Listening to the introduction, it's funny, like the glimpses of my story that will come out, the way I tell my story is a little bit different every time I share it. So I grew up in a very normal life. I don't have some big traumatic story. I grew up in a family where my parents are going to be celebrating 50 years married to each other.
That's awesome.
We're in church every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, every Wednesday night, vacation Bible schools and, mission trips as a teenager. And I grew up in a very Mayberry life. I went to private school, had a good life. And I did everything I was supposed to do. So I went to college, I got a job, I got married, and I had a baby, and I was doing everything right. But underneath the surface, there was this constant fear of getting it wrong. For me, that was creating a lot of stress and anxiety. In the process, in the younger years, that looked like disordered eating for me, because when you're so busy making sure you get it right, and you heard, in the intro, we talked about religious dogma, and there's a very big difference in having a relationship and a connection and following the teachings of Jesus than following a religious dogmatic fear-based system. And I believe that's where I is in that. And so disordered eating followed me all the way through college and even later. And then I had my daughter and I was like, oh man, my body is about housing and creating and sustaining life. It's not about what it looks like in a bikini. I need to be taking care of my daughter. And I began to learn a little bit more about caring for myself, but that shift went into exercise and nutrition and a very regimented eating protocol, 100 grams of protein. And, it went from one extreme to the other, right? I still hadn't found freedom. It was healthy, but it wasn't free. And so all of this is happening, all of the get it right,
Mhm.
really unhappy. I was really stressed. And I
Mhm.
ultimately ended up leaving that marriage after about 4 years. But being a good girl and a good Christian girl, we don't, I cleaned up my mess before anyone knew that
Uh-huh.
I had made one. And I got married again very quickly. And I got another job and I had another daughter. And this time the marriage was 10 years and everything was good. Ta-da. Right.
Right.
And so just keeping up that picture of being a
Mhm.
good wife and a good mother and a good teacher
Right.
and a good church member and a good friend, that for me, that was the cause of so much of my anxiety, is keeping up
Mhm.
the picture of being a good woman.
Right. Person. Exactly.
So underneath that, while all of this was happening, panic attacks started to surface for me.
Mm.
And what I know now was OCD was surfacing for my youngest daughter.
Ah.
And so as a 2 and 3-year-old, that looked like a demanding toddler.
Uh-huh.
And it escalated very quickly into unmanageable fear,
Mm.
full-blown OCD, and with the diagnosis.
Yeah.
And it was the hardest thing I'd ever been through. So through the course of that, I one day was driving. So my religious dogma started layer by layer to start to
Mhm.
go back. And it was during the time of COVID when we couldn't
Ah.
go to church. And I was in some really hard times and I was just delving into my own spiritual practices,
Mhm.
and it called me and a lot of us inward. What do
Right.
I really think? What do I really believe? So I began to hear spirit in a way I never had in that time. Long
Nice.
story
Nice.
short.
Yeah.
And I found myself hearing one day, I knew a panic attack was coming, and I
Uh-huh.
heard, you need to call a chiropractor. And I was like,
Mhm.
who is the chiropractor for a panic attack? But I had learned by just listen to spirit. So I went and I did not have the panic attack, nor did I ever have another one after continued work.
Oh, wow.
And the chiropractor was using emotion code with.
Uh,
So I began to learn and study for myself. It's a book by Bradley Nelson, right? It's not a
okay.
patented thing. It's by him. So
Uh-huh.
I began reading that book and using emotion code with myself and with my children. And my daughter, who at the time was 5 or 6, can clearly tell you, Mom, when you prayed that last prayer for me, I watched the OCD leave my body
Wow.
and go into a vortex.
Wow.
And she's
Wow.
free of OCD. And me of panic attacks. So I was like, okay, there's something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So emotion code looks different. It looks atypical, especially coming out of church, where
Right. Right.
read your Bible and pray and everything should be fine. And so my family was concerned. They started seeing me use, crystals and energy work and all these things
Uh-huh.
that have been typically frowned upon by traditional religion.
Mhm.
For me, all it did was make more sense of the things that I, inherently knew in my spirit
Mhm.
were true. And so that's kind of where I'm bridging these worlds, is like, it's
Right.
not
Yeah. That's interesting.
taking away. It's like, this is what's possible.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I agree. It doesn't have to be one or the other, right? It's just that people don't understand. Like we
Right.
still have I mean, you're telling my exact story about church Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Wednesday, Catholic school,
Yeah.
always having to do it right and feel like I'm doing it right. I mean, I totally relate, and I've had an interesting journey too. But we do circle around. I've never left that. I see it a different way, and it's yeah, it's not one or the other. They all are part of the same. It's languaging and it's understanding, but a lot of people don't understand. So I think that's beautiful. I love how so many of the speakers who have spoken, it's uh, their own struggles that bring them to discover a way that works for them. And then, you're not just sitting with it yourself, but you're actually out there helping people with what you've learned. And so I honor you for that. I think that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so I have a little bit of experience with, well, I'm going to let you tell people what exactly emotion code is. And in my mind, I'm thinking muscle testing. Is it the same thing?
Yeah, there's definitely muscle testing involved.
Okay. But that's not all there is to it then, because, okay. So yeah, that's all I know is just a little bit of that, but, and I don't know it well. So I'm excited to learn from you today. So I'll let you, first of all, just kind of explain for people who don't know what emotion code actually is.
So the best way for me to explain it, and is a little bit different, but you can access this information anywhere. You can read the book. You can go to YouTube and watch videos. It's out there everywhere. But basically, emotions are energy in motion.
Mm-hmm.
And when we go through things and the energy isn't able to process all the way, it gets trapped, right? And so so we can have experiences of emotions, be it anger, anxiety, fear, panic, sadness, whatever, from early on, and we're not able to express it. I mean, think about how often we're told, don't cry about that. This isn't a crying problem. Get it together. Go to your room. Like, we aren't given the tools to really process it. Or I don't have time for this, just stuff it down, right?
Exactly.
But it gets stored in the body in little balls of
especially when you're trying to keep up that image of the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect, churchgoer, friend, daughter, sister, and do everything for everybody. Yeah, we do end up, stuffing it, I think.
Yeah. And so
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt.
No, you're absolutely right. It just does, this image. And so it's vibrating. And a good analogy is of tuning forks, right? So we know everything vibrates, right? The universal principle tells us that everything vibrates. And so emotions are no different. So if you were to fill this room with tuning forks, wall tuning forks, and you flick one, it wouldn't take long before all the tuning forks were vibrating, singing the same pitch. Wow. And so if you have, let's say, a little ball of anxiety right here from when you were 3 years old, being left at daycare, a normal experience, right? So it's always vibrating 24/7, 365. Now you're 60 years old, you've had this anxiety vibrating. So an experience comes into your awareness and it now continues to vibrate. So when we have these little pockets, so when we release it, the subconscious remembers. Your conscious mind doesn't remember, and it doesn't have the ability to just release it. So the principle of muscle testing can help us find it. So you can go to traditional therapy, and of course that has its place, but there are things you just can't access with talk therapy, right? So the subconscious will guide us. Our bodies are human lie detectors. And so use muscle testing, and I use a pendulum because I still want to be able to see it. Right? That's the part to religious believers that can be a little bit frightening because they see it.
I understand.
I think it's magic, but it's a lie detector. Like when you go attach yourself to a lie detector, just a vibration. And we use literally anything. It doesn't have to be a crystal, but that's another piece. That's just my particular practice. But in the book, he talks about muscle testing. So if you push on your arm, you'll get a strong or a weak response based on a yes or no. And there are several different techniques, which I'll explain later. And, what I'm going to share with you listeners. So we use muscle testing. Acupuncture has been around for thousands of years. So the governing meridian runs from here all the way down to your tailbone. So the governing meridian acts like the black strip on the credit card. Right? So the black strip on your credit card knows your bank account number, knows what day you get paid, knows where you get your coffee, where you get your gas, etc.
It knows everything.
It knows everything. The governing meridian is that for us. So if you were to take a magnet and run it over the black strip on your credit card, it wouldn't work anymore. It would erase the code. We are also electromagnetic beings. So the laws of magnets, intention, right? And acupuncture. We run a magnet over the governing meridian once we found the code that we want to delete.
Oh, wow.
So that's sort of the science behind how it works. So if somebody's been struggling with panic or anxiety or physical pain, I have a client who struggled with migraines for years and been able to release migraines.
Wow.
Go and want to say, okay, is there a trapped emotion contributing to the manifestation of migraines? Yes. So there's a code, and I didn't bring it with me, but there are 60 emotions broken into a chart.
Mhm.
Column A, column B, row 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so we say, is a trapped emotion contributing to the manifestation of headaches in column A? And the muscle testing or the pendulum will give
Oh,
us
wow.
and guide us to it because your subconscious knows what it is.
Mhm.
Like, are you ready to release that? Yeah, I'm done. Right. So now you're taking charge of your healing and we just bye. And people,
Wow.
no way is it that
Yeah,
easy?
yeah, exactly.
It is. It really is that easy. So that's sort of the how of emotion code.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. So I love the way you explained it about the energy and the magnetic strip. That's a good visual that makes it easy for people to understand. Yeah, and I had no idea it was so vast.
Yes.
And
And we
it's
find subconscious programs also, so we have the emotion when we experience, let's say, panic. And
Mhm.
then the mind says, oh, everything is scary. The world is a scary place.
Mhm.
Now you've got an emotion that's trapped in a program because the mind is a supercomputer. So
Right,
you're
it's running a loop.
thinking everything is scary and then feeling this
Mhm.
panic. You can literally erase that program. So people
Wow.
use affirmations all the time, which are powerful,
Mhm.
but it's like trying to install a new software on a computer with a virus. It won't take. So we have to delete the old program and then
Mhm.
install the new program with affirmation
Wow.
and
Wow.
behaviors.
Yeah, that's another great analogy. You're good at giving the examples that make it simple to understand. I like that.
I was an elementary school teacher for a while.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, because it's a concept or a complex concept, and so you're making it, easy for people to understand, and I love it. So it sounded like, from what you said too, it sounds like I understand about emotions getting stuck, and emotions being energy in motion, and emotions like an event that happened when we were little that we might not even remember, this or that. And it sounded like we can have things trigger that, like their trigger.
Yes.
Something happens that triggers it, and we're probably not even aware. Is that correct?
Right. And then we try to use our positive affirmations, or we'll willpower our way through the thing, and it only gets
Right.
worse.
Yeah.
Example of that in my own life. The panic attacks actually started for me on a flight home from a trip I took. The flight, we got a little turbulence, and all of a sudden I had my first panic attack. The flight was delayed.
Mhm.
And that's what started them. The episodes of panic attacks started with a flight.
Mhm.
After learning about emotion code, I learned that we also have inherited trapped emotions. If you've heard of
Oh,
epigenetics, we
yes.
inherit not only our hair color and our eye color from our ancestors, but also their cellular memories.
Mhm.
So when I finally learned these tools well enough, I was like, okay, I'm going after this fear of flying, because I
Yeah.
full on had a fear of flying after that. And so I asked, is there something associated with my fear of flying? And it was panic, inherited from my mother's father.
Oh.
My mother's father was a gunner in the Air Force.
Oh
He
my
was
gosh.
shot down and taken prisoner of war.
Wow.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. So I was able to release that inherited energy. And
Right.
last summer, I took a flight to Peru, and we were on 6 airplanes. It was
Wow.
no panic attacks. I just got back from
Complete.
that trip. Now the
Yeah.
panic is completely gone.
Complete release.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. I
But
was
like
going to ask you
the
something.
flight triggered it,
Right, exactly. So then, but you knew enough then to how to explore and find out where it was coming from and what to do about it. Yeah, that's pretty powerful. I was wondering too, when you were telling that about when you said about the inheriting fears and traumas and emotions. Yes. What about like generational limiting beliefs or something?
Yeah.
We inherit all of this stuff.
All of this, all of it. Yeah. I just worked on a client who she was going in for a hysterectomy this week. And so she wanted to do a session before she went in for her surgery to prepare for all of that.
Yeah.
And we found she's from Turkey.
Oh.
And so and women everywhere have beliefs and programs, but specifically in that part of the world, it's different. The women are still a little bit of a different status than men. And there was 43 generations of humiliation, no will to respect self, and I'm not important were the programs that we found running. So we were able to release that for her, and so we get these programs that are literally installed into our cellular memory and our program. And so it's so beautiful. When we release it, for me, like I get really excited about it, right? Because I feel like we're literally changing the planet, the program of the entire planet. And as a mom, I'm like, this isn't going to go down to the next generation.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love it. It is very empowering. Yeah. So literally you can sit with someone and you have a series of questions, and then I guess the answer to the first question leads you to the next question and so forth. So it's like a process of elimination until you get to the issue. And then once you've released, then I'm imagining like you're just free to start creating who you're really meant to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. We get to the point of it. And it's like, oh, I just feel a little lighter. And now all of a sudden, all of the other speakers that you have that have come with their tools and their practices of journaling and affirmations and yoga and massage and all of these things are so important. But we get the roots out and then plant the seeds.
Yeah. And then all these other things would be even more effective more quickly, I imagine.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. That's so good. I'm going to have to explore this further, and listening to you, I'm going to call you. I think we live close by. We're both in Florida, right?
Yes.
I'm going to make a session with you.
Oh, good. And we can always do them virtually. That's what I said.
Okay, cool.
In Turkey, and
right. I love that.
Equals MC squared. There's no distance, which is really
the good thing about the internet. So it's interesting that you came to this during COVID, during the shutdown and the pandemic. And I know that has really been hard for so many people for so long. And I imagine, everyone is supposedly back to normal now, but I don't think so.
Oh.
And this is why the main reason I'm putting on the summit is I see a difference in people, before and after. And I feel like people have lost personal connection, maybe even lost a zest for life. They just feel stuck. I think they're stuck and they don't know they're stuck.
Right.
So, this is about bringing all these different modalities to people so they can, tap into what works for them and just realize there's hope. That's the main thing. There's hope.
Yes. I love that you say that. I have a group that I work with, and we have dubbed ourselves Hope Dealers.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. I want to be in your group. I want to be a hope dealer.
Absolutely.
That is so cool. What a great name. So, you've already given us a great example of your client story. I always like to ask that. And then what about a simple action step that somebody could do? Or you said you were going to talk about different ways, or is that part of like...
We'll go in opposite order. First of all, read the book. Read the book or download it on Audible. Go to YouTube, empower yourself.
Say the name of it again, and I'll link it under your video when we...
It's just The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And that book is accessible anywhere. It does help to work with a practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we are attached to our own stuff,
right?
But I learned. And I think one thing that makes me a little bit different than other practitioners is that I am a teacher. My goal, because I grew up in religion where the pastor knew best, the teacher knows best, the parents know best, I'm very passionate about you know best. And the Emotion Code for me has been a way to learn how to listen to myself, listen to my higher self, to trust my heart, to trust myself again. And so as I work with clients, I want you to learn how to listen to yourself.
Right.
And I just help you along the way while you're learning, because we spend a long time not trusting ourselves.
Oh, for sure. Right? For sure.
So learn it for yourself, practice for yourself. And I'm here to help guide along the way. That's what my goal is.
I
So
think it's important. I want to interject about that, about working with somebody, because what, like I said, I knew a little about muscle testing in the past, and I read it somewhere, not the book you're talking about, but I remember trying it. And so my underlying thought was, I don't think I'm doing it right, or I don't trust that. Like if I'm trying to get a yes answer, then I make myself get a yes.
yes, of course. And so that's what I want to, well, jump ahead to the gift, if that's okay, is, and it's in the book, you can read it for yourself, but I'll send a link to the free consultation. But in our free consultation, it will be me teaching you the modalities of muscle testing so that you can find the one. There's not just one way to muscle test. There are several different ways, and everybody has their preferred method of muscle testing. So I'll teach you the different modalities so that you can find the one that resonates best for you.
Awesome.
And so that's what I would say is one strategy, is begin to find a way that you can learn to listen to yourself and trust yourself. But the daily practices have been crucial because we are in these physical bodies. Right. We are physical beings, we are psychological beings, and we're spiritual, emotional beings. And so we have to care for all modalities of those.
Right.
Putting your feet in the ground as often as possible is so important. Earthing.com, all about grounding, so important.
That book.
Feet in the ground, bath, Himalayan sea salt, live foods, talk to your water. If you've heard about the water experiment, Dr. Emoto, raise the vibration by just saying, thank you, I love you, and then drink your water. I mean, these things seem so simple, but those simple practices of connecting to the earth, eating fruits and vegetables, talking to your water, those kinds of things are going to help you raise the vibration of your physical body.
Right.
We release the trapped emotion. So you're literally taking out the lower vibration and then reading your mind, right, with some of the affirmations. So that's
So yeah, that's so empowering and so inspiring. I hope that a lot of people really, I know a lot of people are going to take you up on your gift. That's very generous. And I'm going to take you up on your gift. So, so any last words? I guess I'm wondering, when you say listen to the body, what comes to mind, and tell me if you think this is, if I'm saying it correctly, but it seems like, and maybe not, but it seems like the body is being a conduit for spirit sometimes.
Yes. So somebody explained this to me again with the analogies. I guess I'm just going to fill my segment with analogies, but this is where a big shift happened for me. So we hear the term a lot thrown around, higher self. And sometimes that can feel very woo, like, I don't know what this higher self business is. I believe that there is a part of us who has never left the heavenly realms, that continues constant communication with source at all times.
I agree.
And then we have our self, and that's the me and you that's projected. That's the self. And in between there is the lower self, our mind, will, and emotions. So the goal is that our higher self came here to have a human experience. So the higher self gets to shine through this self, this physical body. But the filter gets clogged. Mind, will, and emotions get this negative programming, the limiting beliefs, these trapped emotions. And so it's like the higher self can't shine through.
Right.
When what I do is I help clean the filter.
I love it.
And that's what you can do. We're transformed by the renewing of our mind.
Absolutely.
We take out the limiting belief, we install the truth, and then that higher self can shine through our body.
Right.
So
that's beautiful too. Well, this has been so awesome. I love it. It's way more than I realized, and I'm definitely inspired to learn more and to, use it myself.
Then job well done. If I can inspire you, like, oh, I can do this, then that itself takes away some anxiety. when we
Right.
know that I have everything I need. I know how to be healthy. I know how to be free of these beliefs that have kept me stuck for I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
That immediately like takes away some of the anxiety, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just love the vision of being free to be who I'm meant to be. And I would have to say, like, even at the beginning when you were telling your story, I relate to so much of that. And I can also relate to, I was going to say my age. I won't say my age.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is, but people don't need to know right now. I'm okay with it. But, I still feel like there's so much in me that I want to do, that I'm here to do. I have always felt like this huge need to help people and make a difference, like make a significant positive difference before I leave this place. And it's just been such a driving force in me. And I've always felt like something just keeps me from, stepping in fully. I love the summit because I feel like this is a step in that direction, and I've met so many great people and learned so many great things. So, but I know there's something huge. And so I'm definitely going to give you a call. We're going to work through this.
Good. I'm so excited for you. And I just love the beauty of connection that you're
Absolutely.
creating as we put the little pieces together, knowing that like I have a mission here and you
Yes.
have a mission here. And the people that are like, oh, and as we just charge that together, we're like,
yes. And you're right. Changing the world one person at a time, one day at a time. It makes a difference. It makes a huge difference, right?
absolutely.
So, I hate that the time has come to an end. I always hate having to wrap up the talks because they're so great. I'm going to bring you side by side and just tell you, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you. That was so good.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
And before I forget to, the link to Melody's gift will be below the video. When we put the video up live, there'll be a link where you can access her gift. So
Absolutely.
that's very generous. And thank you again. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.
Have a beautiful day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.